Christian Hermit. Trying to get this all set up so you can see the puppies. We took a tree back, took it back, and it was just going to be too big. I loved it, Kirkus Rover, too tall, and I've got to stop. But I ended up getting some flowers. I'm going to remove Silas Marner and pray that I can save it. It needs more sun. That's what's decided. And I will give it some special rose food to help bring it back. And because it's Camilla's rose, and I've got to do a good job with it. So it's her prayer rose. So I don't think I've posted a video. I probably deleted it. It was one I wasn't happy with. They get off topic, of course. And this is about a dream I had. Back in 2019, end of January, I was in Southern California staying with my best childhood friend who married my cousin. So I was staying with them. My cousin was having very poor health, and my best friend had developed some issues that she wasn't really aware of, and it was sad. So anyway, but that's aside from the point. And I think she developed it probably environmentally, and it can also be hereditary. I think a little bit from her mother. So, but I was their guest. I was so grateful. And I kept looking, trying to find a house online back in this area. So I found the one I have. I had driven by it before, but it was way too expensive. And it was still too high priced, but they dropped the price a big chunk because no one had bought it, obviously, not the price it was. And I just needed a place, so I went ahead and did it and did my little line to myself. Am I going to worry about it on my deathbed? Well, hopefully not, but we never know. If I'd be end up broke, then yes, I probably would on my deathbed at least regret that I did it. But so far I haven't regretted it at all. That beautiful view and the peacefulness of the area. And the neighbors are all very nice, including the one on the one side. He just has some issues, sex issues. He's sort of a sex addict type person, I guess, or gets jollies out of offending women of any age. So I made an offer, and I got the offer was accepted. We dickered a little bit. I got it a little less, but than their asking price. But they hadn't had any offers, so they with their new price, obviously they weren't going to just take a lowball offer. They wanted to wait and see if they got something better. And I needed a place, and I liked the view, and it had lots to do. I needed lots. The whole place needed to be redone, which was going to keep me busy, and it still is. So, I was just waiting there another month. It's a month until closing. And I had a dream. And I had totally forgotten the dream by the time I moved in. So I won't talk about the dream now, but I had a dream there. It was the end of January when I had the dream. And I moved in on Valentine's Day. I flew back the day before, stayed in a Airbnb, closed the next morning, and moved in that day of Valentine's Day, February 14th of 2019. And all my stuff had been in storage for about 7 or 8 months. 7 months, I guess it was. So, got to be about April, and I was hankering to garden. And I had decided I would never, ever find any place that had the trees that I had to leave on the island. The ones that I had moved across country in a big truck I drove. back in 2013. Planted them there, sold a lot of them when I would run out of money, but the property was 2/3 of an acre, and what was left in there was plenty of trees. Trust me. There were like 300, maybe I sold 100, so there are probably 200 or at least 170 trees left. Miniatures, but also some larger ones. That's where the Kirkus roper is to this day. I hope it's still survived and kept growing. So, I looked up on internet and I saw this nursery. I thought, well, I'll go check it out. Didn't know a thing about it. And I was driving along, had my GPS, and when I stopped at the top of the road where you turn down to go into that nursery, I was like, whoa! All of a sudden, I remembered the dream. And sure enough, it was the dream. The whole vista, and I hadn't even gotten down to where the greenhouses were. But in the dream, I was shown where I was at the top of the road where I was turning down. That was the dream back in January. And it all came back, and I thought, what is this, you know? It just seemed like, I thought God in the dream was showing me a touch of heaven, paradise. So lush, and trees, and I drove down there, I got out, walked around, and I was in heaven. And the prices were so good compared to other places where I had gotten my trees before. Well, except for David and David's Sons in Southern Illinois, which is no more. He had great prices. But otherwise, this other place in the Midwest was really overpriced. And, of course, on the island, I got a couple of items out there, and they were way priced high, but a couple of them were ones that just, you know, were going to really enhance the property. And the one was a beautiful tree that I had to sell back in the Midwest, and it was Laurel's prayer tree. So when I saw another one, I got that one because she needed a prayer tree, and it's been the same one until here. I didn't have one here. I actually just got one in a 1 gallon this year, but I sort of like the idea of the phlox. Glamour Girl phlox, and it's planted right by Jesus' statue. So I think that's good for Laurel. I think that was meant to be. And it's been her prayer plant since I've lived there, so since I got the phlox the first year. So anyway, I just couldn't believe it that God had given me that dream of that exact nursery in January, showing me. He was trying to tell me, don't worry, you're going to have another garden. You will find the trees. And I have found ones that I didn't have there, like the one I got yesterday, that they call some people call it Chinese French tree. That I never had. There's several in this garden that I never had before. And then I found some that I thought I would never have again, too. They had at this nursery. So, but a lot of the conifers I have now are new to me conifers. So that was the dream. God is so good and so amazing. And this is part of why, indeed, I need to accept what God has shown me and told me over the years. This is my purpose, and my mission is to suffer with and for God, with Jesus and for God. Not that God needs my suffering, but He wants me to assist in suffering and to feel His suffering. of people in the church who are hurting God, who are disappointing Him, and including myself when I disappoint Him. When I make poor choices, even in the day, or even in thoughts I have. It doesn't have to be offenses of ourselves as Catholics, per se. It can be our thoughts, our behaviors. So, God wants me to love to suffer and suffer to love, and carry on with His purpose for me and the mission He has for me. The mission that He gave me. So, I've got that. I've got my answers, and then another big answer has to do with my hermit vocation. And that's how I'm living the hermit vocation. It got confusing. It became confusing back in around 2000 or 1990 when I heard about these diocese hermits. I heard about them. And they didn't seem right. It did not seem right that hermits, and especially how I see how they live, the one that's very online presence, being very noticed, we're out in public. Today, no one knew I was a Catholic hermit. No one knew that. I remain hidden when I'm out. I remain hidden within. The only question I have, again, I'm asking God, does He want me doing these videos? They are anonymous. I keep myself anonymous, but I am a visible person. You see my body. You see my corpus. You hear my voice. So I'll pray, and definitely He doesn't if I don't have what He wants me to say. And I don't need to talk about the negatives anymore, because we all know. We all have been to church, and it's in any church, but I have found it predominant in the Catholic Church. And what upset me about the Catholic Church and people behaving as some of them behave, and some of the priests, I did not find the preponderance of those types in Protestant churches. And I concluded, at least I have this answer recently. It's because the Catholics can get too caught up in the externals. The externals themselves aren't bad. They all have meaning, they all have use, they all have symbolism, and they can enhance our worship and our faith. But when they become in exchange of faith, and people just do the externals and exist in the externals without that being the meaning, they don't know the meaning, and they have lost the spiritual, or they never got the spiritual. That's the problem. That's where we go wrong. Then we don't become the spiritual beings that God wants us to become. So the hermit life is as the holy hermits always had it. And the people who are being hermits and wearing habits where they stand out, active in their parishes, known by everyone, do charge for their counseling, which is against the law. They are practicing without a license. They are acting in the place of therapists. And it's not just spiritual counsel. This one's counseling people in dying and in all kinds of things. So, and charging for it. Hermits should not be charging for helping people. So it's against the law. So, but the diocese hermits, the bishops are not supervising. They're hermits. So it's not a good situation at all. And I realize God does not want, that's why God doesn't want me to have anything to do with any of that. So I just have to stay on the straight and narrow, holy narrow pathway, and get myself more on it. And I'm loving, I didn't do it with you guys because my videos didn't turn out. They didn't post. But I have been doing the Each Day with Mary book. It's just very helpful, very beautiful. So I'll try again today to share today's with you. We had St. Alphonsus Liguori yesterday, reflection, and another prayer and a scripture. So I'm back now. I get the dogs in. They refused the water I brought to them. I don't know if I should probably taste it myself. Maybe the plastic container it's in, it's a special pet water dispenser. Maybe they don't like the taste of the water. My little prince and princess here. So, so we'll get out now. God bless you all. Oh, say goodbye, puppies. Love you and mercy. They love going in the truck. More later.